Mark Herakovic, how you doing?
Good.
Good. Why don't you give me a little bit of background on you before we jump into our main topic today?
All right. I'm based out of Cleveland, Ohio. Been installing for almost 25 years now. I can do everything but carpet, mainly concentrating on hardwood and LVP now. I started in '94. I got out of college. My best friend actually took a year or two before he went to college and answered an ad in the paper for a job that traveled all over the country. And they were remodeling bowling centers all over, refinishing, remodeling bowling lanes. And when I got out of college, he's like, "Hey, come work with me. Let's do some damage across the country." And I was like, "Sure, why not?" So 2 weeks later, I was out of town. Started refinishing lanes. Actually, almost got fired off my first job because I couldn't pick up the equipment. And we went to the next job. My boss pulled me off to the side. He's like, "You better get this or I'll have no need for you." From there, ever since then, it's just been a lifelong career. Never thought I'd have a career, but actually worked that way, and I actually really, really enjoy it. I've been getting more and more passionate as the years go on. But yeah, that's pretty much how I started. Just an ad in the newspaper.
So, what were you studying in college that flooring became way more important?
Actually, I went to a super small college in Southern Ohio, and I was actually going to be a teacher. I spent my first year just doing general studies to get those out of the way, and I was going to become a teacher, elementary school at that.
Well,
And
I'm sure you've dealt with plenty of children over the years and trained them all properly.
we try to. I do better with the Cub Scouts so far than I've had with young kids personally.
Oh, there's a topic we
But
can't touch. I will talk about Cub Scouts for hours with you, but I don't think that's what we're here for.
oh yeah,
That's a different
yeah,
podcast.
yeah, definitely. But no, actually, yeah. That 2 weeks after I got out of school, when I went out of town, we'd spend anywhere from 2 weeks to 3 months out of town at a time. And then when we got back into town, it was for like a day, maybe a day and a half. You catch up on sleep and laundry is about all you had time to do. And I actually was going to transfer schools, and I missed absolutely every single deadline to transfer. Um, and then next thing you know, I just ended up staying with the company that I was working for. And that's how it was, and I just never went back.
Sometimes you just fall into it and you keep going.
Yeah,
But there is nothing
yeah.
wrong
I
with
just
laying wood floors, that's for sure. It's definitely
Yeah,
rewarding.
and it's kind of funny because I never learned anything construction trades, working with my hands or anything from anyone in my family or friends or anything. It was just never one of those things I never thought I'd be doing. Because my dad was all about sports. He was an insurance salesman and everything like that. My mom was a secretary, so it's like never had any inkling of ever thought I'd do this. And it just happened to turn out to something that I was kind of decent at. So here I am almost 25 years later.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I see that you've been able to take the skills and turn them into something else. I've seen you get some pictures up on a Facebook group that we're both in and post some really cool stuff that you're working on for the Cub Scouts and whatnot. So it's cool that you've been able to take it
Yeah,
and something that you didn't grow up doing, but you've learned it and you've been able to pass it on and
yeah,
use it to
and
better other people's lives.
yeah, and that's things that I've just been getting into the past few years, other than just flooring, because that's pretty much all I ever want to do is go to work and install some floors. But it actually helps me and my brother get closer together because he's a custom furniture and cabinet maker, and I'll go up to his shop and work on my stuff up there, and we'll just sit there and talk, listen to music. We each do our own thing, making our own stuff, and it's actually been kind of cool. So it's been one of those things where you get into the trades like this. It's just one of those camaraderie things that it's something that no matter if you've been in it for 2 weeks to 20 years, you always have something to talk about. And you could tell when you have those conversations how much each person enjoys it and what you can learn from it. Whether the 20-year-old guy, the 20-year veteran's learning from a 2-week veteran, or vice versa. It's just one of those things that you don't see. People who work in an office are going to sit there, 5 o'clock hits, they're out the door, they don't see each other, so that's what I love about the trade, that you got guys who are interested in the same thing. They'll go have a beer and still continue talking about work. That's you don't see it in any other trade.
And that is the perfect segue into our main topic today. So you mentioned camaraderie and being able to have, communication with other people in the trade and carry on these conversations after work, and we're all passionate about it and it keeps going and going. However, I see a lot of hate, and I don't think that's where we need to be going. What are your thoughts on this?
How long do we have?
Oh, we got time, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where it started from. It could start, everybody in the industry already thinks I'm a dick or whatever. I've even had it stated to me by a couple of reps that everybody thinks I'm a dick. Pardon the language, but, I think it's important to have certifications, but you also get a lot of these guys who get their certifications who think their shit don't stink. And if you don't have your certification, you're just a hack, which is absurd in my opinion. I have no certifications, and yet I'm still going to put out quality work. So you can't just lump everyone who doesn't have a certification into, some home remodeler, these fly-by-night companies, anything like that. It baffles me, and, our Facebook forums have, changed the way this industry's thought about all these other installers, where we have more camaraderie, where you run into a situation, now you have help to get out of it, or come up with a different solution to a problem, or hey, I need some help on this job because I got 100,000 foot of floor that needs to get done by this time for me. Anybody available? You used to never have that. Back in the day, even when I first started, nobody advertised on their vehicles because they were afraid of their vehicles getting destroyed, or, other companies coming slashing tires or stealing tools out of your vehicle, messing with your job sites when you leave or something like that. And I've seen all that firsthand. It's not like I'm making it up or throwing scenarios out there. I've seen stuff like that happen firsthand.
It's so sad. There's no reason for that. If we can all encourage each other and help build each other up, we're only going to build an industry. And when we're fighting with each other, we're not doing anybody any favors, especially our clients. They're the ones who are going to suffer most because they're going to get cheated in the end through us fighting instead of communicating and working together to make sure that everyone's competing at the highest level.
Exactly. And if I'm a personal homeowner and I have contractors coming in to give me an estimate on a floor or something, and I got one contractor bad mouthing another contractor, I wouldn't give them my work. To me, that's extremely unprofessional. And that's where, you could tell the difference between the guys who are just in it for the money and guys who are in it because of their passion for their job. It's just one of those things that, it doesn't matter if you're left wing, right wing, religious, not religious, fat, skinny, black, white, it doesn't matter. Everybody just needs to be a decent human being. And when you're sitting there bad mouthing another company because you think that's going to help you get a job, you're going to be sorely mistaken.
It's going to be the fastest way to drive your business into the ground, that's for sure, because people are going to remember that
Exactly.
and they're going to pass that on. It's the same thing of it's hard to get a good review for your company. You can ask
Yeah.
every
And
client that you do a great job for to leave one, and maybe 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10 will. But if you screw up, everybody will know you screwed up because everyone loves to tell how something went wrong and they want to let people know don't use them. And so when you're going around bad mouthing people, that's going to get around really quick and it's not going to help you. It's I do all of my own work. I don't work in a workroom situation, but
uh,
I can only imagine what it could be like in that situation. You're going to the same place every day, seeing all these other contractors pull up and get work. And a lot of these places are so busy that they're begging for more contractors because the trades are kind of dying.
yeah.
But I'm sure there was a time where there was probably underhanded tactics going on to make sure that you got a job and somebody else didn't.
Oh yeah, there was definitely money transfer for guys to get the big jobs, or it's like, hey, don't give this guy a job because he's a hack or whatever like that. There was never any kind of vetting whatsoever, and it really dragged this industry down. And it's not just a flooring industry. I think it's just the construction trades in general, whether it be electricians, plumbers, framers, drywallers or whatever. Everybody was always bad mouthing themselves. And I think that's what gave us a bad name. That's why everybody looks down on the construction trades. It's just like, oh, look at those lowlifes. I'm sorry, but this lowlife is making your life even better. And if it wasn't for us, you're not going to have that multi-million-dollar house or, your cushy office job to go to, because who's going to make it for you?
Yeah. And, there's plenty of guys that work a trade or own a business that's a trade and have a bunch of guys under them, and they're doing better than people with college degrees. There's definitely nothing wrong with working hard for your money, And so I encourage kids all the time, especially because they're dying and we're having trouble filling positions. I can't find an 18 to 23-year-old kid to save my life that wants to come and work for me and work hard. They just
Yeah.
they don't really exist. And if I could, I would hold on to them for dear life and give them everything I could to bring them up in this industry and teach them right. And if they wanted to leave in a few years, good. That's somebody else out there
Yeah.
that I know is going to be doing it right.
Yeah. It's like I brought on a kid over the summer. It was a friend's son, and he's 16. Never did the construction trade. His family owns a trucking company, and he pretty much just tinkers around, doing brake work and, cleaning up the shop and stuff. But I needed a job because I was doing a whole house install. And kid worked phenomenal. He was a great hard worker. I picked him up every day because I passed his house every morning. So I picked him up, kid worked hard until I left. I worked from 8 until at least 6 every night. And that way I miss all the rush hour traffic and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And kid busted his butt, did everything I said, never once complained, wasn't sitting there playing on his phone. And I was talking with Josh, and I was like, hey, if we could hire this kid, let me hire him when he's, like, in the summertime when he's not in school. And, if we had the funds and we could keep him busy, he'd do it. We paid him a little bit better than what his family was paying him hourly. And I was like, hey, we're in a trade, man. Just get into it. This industry's so short on workers that we'll take anyone. You find a good worker, man, you nurture that.
Definitely.
Don't steer them away. If they want to go to college, let them go to college. Everybody needs to experience something, but man, make it so they want to come back. That's the thing.
For sure.
It's like you could have someone who, hire the college kids who are out for the summer or the high school kids who are out for the summer. Teach them something, but make it so they don't feel like they're learning something, but make them love the job. Make it so they want to come back. The society has pushed all these tech jobs over the last 20 years that it flooded that market. So everybody's going to college to become these IT technical geniuses or whatever, and there's no jobs. It's so flooded, nobody could get a job, and then you're not going to make anything because the market is so flooded.
Correct. They're
So I'm
ended
just,
up having to find something else to do anyways, and they're, a barista,
yeah,
or they're, but nobody encouraged them to work hard. I came up doing wood shop in middle school, high school, and that's how when I ended up having no job, I knew I could work with my hands, and I looked up in my local area 30 contractors that did hardwood flooring, and I cold called every single one of them asking for a job, because I knew
yeah,
I could at least use the tools, but I would have to learn minor specifics of how to do that job. And I ended up getting a
yeah,
job, and there's not these programs in the schools to bring these kids up, let alone if we can find one and bring them up, we can instill the right mindset in them to have them want to always be continuing to get educated and push their skills more, so that we don't have this, I've come up in a time where I don't necessarily see it anymore, so I don't see all as much hate. There's a little bit of razzing on the online forums I'm in, where it's, oh,
yeah.
you're a carpet
And
guy
that's
or you're
usually
a
because
tile
everyone has
guy.
put a few beers into them, at the end of the day, and
For sure. But
that's never a
there
good mix. But
there is still areas and places where you people hate their competition, or they hate the guy that's underselling them and going and bidding jobs for a third of the price everybody else is. And so if we can
yeah,
bring in these guys and
and
educate them properly, then we can do away with that mindset.
and that's where part of it comes into. You're always going to have guys undercutting other guys just to get the job. One, that hinders the industry because our pricing's been stagnant for 40 years. And then it's actually getting driven down because of the big box stores, stuff like that. But that creates a lot of animosity because now you got to lower your price because you're getting undercut by these other guys. So there's going to create animosity there. And then, you got the house flippers who all lost their office jobs when the market crashed and everything like that. That flooded the market, becoming handyman because they watched a YouTube video. And that's a certain industry. And that takes money out of the true craftsman's hands. So there is going to always be that animosity there, but let's kind of flip that. That's the whole point. That's why I like these forums, is because it takes away that animosity. Actually, because of these forums, now I'm starting to know other contractors in my area, and I've gone and helped a few of them on jobs. It's like, hey, I'm slow. I got none. And you need a hand? Okay, I'll come help you. I actually just did one with Nick Vogus the other day, doing some VCT in the basement. They put money in my pocket in the slow time, help them get a nice custom boiler job done. I've gone and helped out other hardwood companies doing their trim work for them. You got to do what you got to make money, but don't sit there and badmouth someone because they're going to be a little bit cheaper. Maybe their overhead's different. They don't have to pay their employees as much. Maybe they're getting materials at a different cost than you are. There's a lot of factors into it that people don't know. So why have that animosity? Hey, let's go talk about work. Let's go have a couple beers or show up on a job site and just shoot the shit for a little bit and be like, hey, okay, well, here's another idea. Here's not everybody. You get guys who do quality work, but don't necessarily know all the specifications that manufacturers are requiring or what the industry standards are or anything like that. Hey, let's educate them that way. Let's have a beer. Let's go ahead and just discuss it. Why
Yeah.
not just everybody's quick to be like, you're a hack.
No, that's exactly it.
That's,
It's hard to people call somebody out really quick, and you don't necessarily know their backstory. Like you said, you don't know what their overhead is. You don't know what their labor costs are. You don't have all of that information. You don't know if they've only been doing it 2 weeks. I've only been doing this. It'll be 4 years in June. And I don't know everything, but I sure as heck try to learn as much as possible and make sure I'm doing it right. And so when I have a problem, I reach out and I try and get educated, and I try and put my work out there to be criticized so I can see what I can improve on. And you don't need to go and tell somebody you suck, you're a hack, get out of here, you're lowballing. We don't need that. Let's find a better way, like you said, go sit down and have a beer. Let's find out what their circumstances are. Maybe they don't know how to market. Maybe they don't understand what it costs to run their business properly and what it means to be profitable. There's tons of guys in my area. You can still go on Craigslist. You can find laminate vinyl plank install for $1. A lot of
Yeah.
guys are $2 or more. But so while they're sitting there working every day of the month, I can work half as much as them and make the same amount of money. But they don't
Yeah.
necessarily, they might not understand business like that. And so you need to be able to sit down and have a conversation with them. Some people just want to lowball you because they think they're going to make more money. Some people may not
Yeah.
understand business, and you can change their mindset and educate them and up the game. Whereas when you just write them off, what have you done for the industry at that point? You've done absolutely nothing but continue to hurt it.
Yeah. And what's going to be the harm that you made a friend in the industry that, say you're so backed up in your schedule that you might miss a deadline and it pushes a job off. Hey, maybe this guy you just met, that, hey, you've talked, you've seen his work, he does a decent job. Hey, do you have time in your schedule? You could throw this in real quick for me, or at least get it started until, I finish this one up and I can get there or something, you need that help, because you miss a deadline, homeowners aren't going to be happy. And then, what happens there when a homeowner's not happy? They want a discount, so in the long run, helping each other out, one, becoming better craftsmen, but then two, it helps you keep up on your schedule. And three, it helps you out with your pricing. You're not going to have a homeowner asking for discounts because you're behind schedule or you took a shortcut to stay on deadline. Now you don't have to take that shortcut. Now you don't have the callbacks and that overhead that maybe these other companies don't have. So there's a lot of factors to it, but it still baffles me that it's still going to be prevalent in the industry. It just baffles me sometimes.
Yeah.
I used to be like that. Like when I first started, I was all cocky and everything. It's like, oh, look how fast I am, or I'm getting this done. Well, I realized after however many years, I was doing this wrong. This is gonna fail. And I didn't know anybody else in the industry except for the one guy that I went to work for. So it's like, just in the past 2 years of these forums, I've learned leaps and bounds over what I used to know, and my work's gotten so much better.
Definitely.
I still kept that speed up too with it, because now it's like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. I may not know all of your technical names or anything for it, but hey, I see what you're doing. But if you do this, it's still industry standard, but it kind of speeds you up a little bit. So you need that camaraderie between other businesses. To one, it can speed up your game, which makes you more money, but you still do everything by industry standards, which I'm learning a lot more about industry standards, talking with all these other guys on the forums and everything. It's that kind of camaraderie that just makes it better.
Definitely. That I've heard it put in business that the people you meet on the way up are the same people you're going to see on the way back down. And if you're burning bridges on your way up, you're not going to have a leg to stand on, because you can't stay at the top forever. It's just not going to happen. And so you're going to see these people again, and they're not necessarily going to be willing to help you. So like you said, meeting those other local contractors, reaching out to them, getting to know them, because you might need to throw them some work one day to keep you on schedule or get them to come help you finish up a job really quick. It's only going to benefit everybody. And being in the forums, I've been able to work at a level that I didn't really know existed. It pushed me. Luckily, I found them pretty much as soon as I started, and it's pushed me from the very beginning to just be a better craftsman, and that I had an outlet to reach out to these guys anywhere in the country and get answers from them. And I can see 30 different methods on how to do the same thing. It's
Yeah.
amazing that there's just this wealth of knowledge now and people are willing to share. One of the things that you always heard from people in the trades was, oh, I had to teach myself, that my mentor wouldn't teach me anything. He just kept me slaving away all day. And so I just went out on my own and taught myself. And that's not
Yeah.
what is that doing for anybody? Where is that going to lead the trade when nobody knows how to do anything correctly? If you can pass on that knowledge and educate the next generation to raise the bar and make better connections within the local community and the community at large, we're only going to build a bigger, stronger presence and have more respect for what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, and with that kind of camaraderie, you know, if the whole society in general just sees now there's more of a camaraderie, there's not all this name calling and bickering and fighting and arguing and everything between the trades, that just brings us up out of the gutter that everybody thinks we're already in. You know, I don't know, unless you are some multi-billion-dollar a year, multi-million-dollar a year home builder, you know, the trade, that's built on the trades, you know, and when you get all this infighting, of course everyone's going to look down at us. I see it sometimes too. I'm like, no wonder everybody thinks we're fucking drug addicts and lowlights and everything like that. You know, it's up to us to bring ourselves out of that mindset in society in general, you know, and best way to do that is to start getting along with everyone. You know, I go into job sites, I might have fights and arguments with other trades, but I just did one. I was putting in a rubber floor and some rigid core vinyl plank in a basement, and the electrician's there just throwing all the shit all over the floor. And I'm like, hey, do you mind? Can you pick up your scraps? You know, I'm not, you know, I didn't go at him like, hey, I'm not your fucking mother, I'm not your janitor or anything like that. You know, he kind of asked him, and the guy was like, oh, yeah, sorry, man. He went through, picked up all his stuff. You know, it was cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's simple stuff like that.
You know, most of the time, you just got to ask. And people don't ask.
Yeah.
They just, the electricians always leave their clippings, and the drywall guy always leaves his texture on the floor and makes a big mess. If you're there working with them, just ask. And then if it's a no, then you know that they're rude and inconsiderate. But if you didn't ask, then maybe they just figured, you know, this is how it goes. Maybe they would have cleaned it up. You never know. So,
well, and that's the other thing too. It's like, you know, homeowners are always going to complain that our prices are too high. You know, they're never going to admit that they just can't afford to do what they actually want to do. They get their mindsets that I want this done now. That's all they care about. They want it done now, but they want it as cheap as possible. Well, you know what? Look at a lot of the floor prep we got to do. If other trades, especially being the flooring guy, you know, a lot of our floor prep is cleaning up after other trades or fixing somebody else's, you know, not caring about their job or whatever. You know, fixing framing, scraping and grinding floors because there's drywall mud everywhere, paint overspray everywhere. There's a cost that a homeowner is shelling out because we got to take care of all that. You know, it doesn't just end with us. You know, it's the construction trade in general. You know, everybody has to look out after each other. You know, don't say, hey, the floor is ready, but we have no electric, we have no plumbing. We got to spend an entire day grinding floors to get rid of all this paint overspray and all the drywall mud caked all over the floor. That's a big expense, you know? You know, so it's not just camaraderie in the flooring trade itself. It's just, again, it's the camaraderie between all trades that needs to change.
Definitely. We all need to work together to build each other up, make sure that the jobs go smoothly, everybody's getting what they want out of it and can be successful at the end of the day. If we're not working together, then things are going to fall apart. And like you said, it's going to end up costing the builders more, the homeowners more. It'll end up costing us more time. And Look, I'd rather be on to the next job instead of having to grind a floor for a day to get rid of paint overspray. That's just,
Yeah.
and I've got to bill that time out. I'm not going to do it for free.
Yeah.
If I could back
Nobody
charge
wants
the
to do
painter,
anything for
that'd be
free.
great. But that's just not going to
Yeah.
happen on a new home build. So
Yeah. And technically, at least in my opinion, that should be. That's showing no respect whatsoever for any other trade. And then all these contractors leaving all their scaffolding and everything right in the center of the floor, or electricians leaving all their knockouts and cutoffs all over the floor. I'm not a janitor. Just because I work on the floor doesn't mean I'm a janitor and I'm here to clean up the mess. I'll be happy to walk off a job and spend the day with my kids instead of having to spend the day cleaning your crap.
that exactly,
Or I'm going to hand you a nice giant bill for it.
that would be so nice in many situations. That really, truly would. However, a lot of times on my jobs,
it happen once.
I end up on all my jobs for the most part. I'm the only one there. Like I'm the flooring guy because that's all they're doing. I don't do any new build construction or anything like that. It's all residential remodel for me, and so generally I'm only fighting myself. And so you pull up the carpet and it's paint overspray from when the house was built 20 years ago, and there's no one to hand the bill off to other than the homeowner. Sadly.
Yeah, I've only had that happen once, though, where I was tiling some bathrooms in a factory, and because they were expanding, and I was the only guy in there that wasn't union, and I was hired directly by the owner of the company, and I was fighting with that union every day. I'd come in, I'd have my bathrooms taped off. I just laid the floor. I'm like, don't walk on this. And people are throwing their leftover lunch garbage on the floors and walking all over my tile. I had no lights in the bathroom, so I'm working in pitch black with work lights. And I walked to the owner and I was like, hey, this is holding me up. I'm behind schedule because I'm spending the first 2 hours of every day having to clean up this mess from these other trades. He's like, write me a bill. So I wrote him a bill. I wrote him a bill for, I think it was like $3,000. And he took me, walked right up to the GC. He's like, this needs to be paid by the end of the day, or you guys are out of here. And end of the day, I had a check from the GC for $3,000. I was like, nice.
That's crazy. I'm sure it was probably bad enough just being in there with union guys, because there's a whole different battle, just besides getting along with other tradesmen. You can get into, we could spend another 30 minutes talking about union versus non-union, and let's not go there. Maybe I'll address that on another episode with somebody else. So do you have any, do you got a tip or a trick for us that we can put out there to the other installers?
Tips and tricks. Oh no, everything I'm learning anymore, I'm learning from the forums. I don't know. Speed wise, I don't understand, why everybody thinks I'm so quick. I don't know. I really have no speed tricks. It's just the way I install, I guess. I have no idea what I do differently from anyone that makes me seem so quick. But yeah, I average 100, 150 foot an hour. Because I work pretty much by myself all the time. I don't know. It's like I just sit there, figure out my layout, start my rows, do a random, just mark things so nothing lines up or looks like a stair step or an H or anything like that. All those cutoffs go to the other end for cut, so that eliminates scrap. My scrap is no bigger than 2 inches. I really don't have any other tips. Everything I know, I'm learning by the seat of my pants. I have no idea. If you guys have any tips, I'll be happy to know. You can give me a call, message me, add me on a forum or whatever. Let me know.
Well, let's go with that. So, I mean, you're saying, look, I feel I can lay 100 square feet an hour on a good day when it's an open room. But at the end of the day, you know, once I'm dealing with a closet and then into the hallway and into the bathroom,
Yeah, I did.
I bid my job so that I'm at 300 to 400 square feet a day. But that's all in. That's prepping the room, laying the floor, and getting the baseboards back up. That may not be how I actually install it, but if you gave
Yeah,
me a 2,000 square foot job, I would probably be there 5 to 7 days, depending on how it went and if I was moving furniture or not. Is where would you
yeah.
bid a
Well,
2,000 square foot job? Let's start that.
uh, yeah. Again, it's all going to depend on layout and furniture tear out, prep, stuff like that. 2,000 square foot job, if it's wide open, if it's just carpet tear out, probably like 4 days,
Okay.
but, I did going back to the job where I hired that kid, it was a 2,700 foot glue down engineered 9-inch wide board by 6 foot long. We had 5/16 hard staple down hardwood to tear out, carpet to tear out, subfloor, and a ton of furniture. Hallways, living rooms, um, entryway, dining room, all connected, no transitions. And then I did upstairs all the way with 4 bedrooms, with tear out furniture, everything like that. They had it scheduled for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I got done in a week and a half.
You know, and perhaps the hardwood came up easier. Perhaps the subfloor repairs weren't as bad as you thought. You never really know. You know, I try and give
Yeah.
my clients estimates that are going to be it. It's probably 5 days. We're gonna call it 7. If I'm done early, then I under promised and
It's
over delivered. You
always,
know.
yeah, it's always best to give yourself that extra day or two, um, just in case you run into those unforeseens. But you get done early on the time schedule you think you're actually going to make. It looks even better to the homeowner, so there's nothing wrong with that little cheat. But, mainly, 99% of the jobs I do, I'm by myself anyways. And with the kind of hours I work, I always be like, man, I really want to be at this area, and if I don't make that area, no big deal, because I'm still ahead of, where a lot of other companies, because I know a lot of guys cut out at 3, 4 o'clock to go do estimates, go home, they have appointments with kids or, stuff like that. And, my wife doesn't drive, so I always got to be around to pick the kids up from, some kind of after school function, or I got Cub Scouts or Girl Scouts, stuff like that, doctor's appointments. And, I'm on a 2,000 foot job. I'm like, okay, I really need to bust my butt this day and get to this point, because I know I got to cut out early the next day. So there's a lot of stress I put on myself for that fact, even though I walk into every job blind. I don't know what's expected. I just know that on this day, I have to be at another job. So this is what needs to get done. This is where I need to be each day. You got to set those goals. You need to know where you got to be at realistically, but also set that goal that, hey, this is where I want to be. This would be a bonus if we get to this point, but if you don't make it, you have that other goal where you're safe to be at.
I think that's exactly it, and there's the tip. It's you need to do you. Don't worry that Mark can lay 800 square feet in a day and that's him killing it and you're over here laying 400. If you're a 400 a day guy, take that and run with it. If you're churning out quality work that's not going to fail, you're doing it right and you're okay. You can go and bid your jobs and be happy with that. And if you're an 800 square foot a day guy, then go bid your jobs like that. We all,
Yeah.
you do you.
Yeah, exactly. And, don't think that you got to compete by being faster or anything like that. Speed doesn't always, like I said, I average 100, 150 foot an hour, but there's days where the layout's just super tricky and you're getting started. You know, you're started on your first like 3-4 rows. Man, I had some that my first 3-4 rows had taken me 2 hours.
Oh,
you
definitely.
know, that you get material that's constantly shifting on you, or you know, the crookedness of walls because nothing's ever square. You know, but that's where your prep comes in. You know, I'll spend an hour or two figuring out layout and adjusting from there. You know, sit there with a tape measure and your laser, start figuring out where you're going to break in every doorway to make it easy on yourself. You know, everybody's like, well, it looks like crap if you put a seam right in this door right next to this jam. Why? It's covered by the door, and it makes life easier because you don't have to sit there and try to pound the board into place trying to get it under the door jamb without damaging the jamb and the casing or damaging the board itself. You know, put that split right there underneath the door or something. Make it easy on yourself.
Correct. If you can
don't
ahead.
Try to kill yourself so when you get home and the first thing you think about is going straight to sleep. You know, just do what you can to make yourself happy. You know, just don't kill yourself.
That's it right
Man,
there.
A career is a career.
You got to do this for a long time.
Yeah, don't kill yourself trying to keep up with another company and what they say they can do, because not everybody tells the truth. You know, so there's always those fibbers out there that lie about how much they get done, or, hey, look what I just did in 4 hours. You know, I just did this complete tear out in 400 foot in 4 hours. That I usually call bullshit on. It's like, how many guys do you have with you to do that in 4 hours, you know?
Yeah, I've seen some ones that I'm just, okay, if you did that, more power to you. Personally, I don't work that fast. I feel I work at a decent pace, and at the end of the day, I can come home, I'm sore, but I know I'm going to be able to go back the next day and do something I love. And I think that's what matters, is you need to be able to do what you're happy with and do a great job at it.
Exactly. You know, just, you know, especially like these guys who, you know, like me, I go and help other companies out when I don't have anything going. Or, you know, say you go and help another installer out on a job. You know, it's always one thing to want to look good when you're helping out another installer, but still, just do what you're going to do, man. They're just going to be happy you're there. They're going to be happy that you finish a job that's done quality-wise, you know, and there's not going to be any issues. You know, just do what you can. Don't sit there and compete against each other. I'm like, man, I went and helped this guy, and I just did, you know, 1,000 of this 1,200 foot because he's slow. You know, so what, man? If he works that slow, that's how slow he works. You're there to help. That's why he called you. You know, just do what it takes to get the job done. You know, just don't kill yourself doing it.
That's it. Help each other out. Don't kill yourself. Make sure everyone's successful. So, Mark, is there anywhere people can look you up, find you on Facebook, Instagram, anything like that you want to drop?
Yeah, I work for Josh Fox at Elevated Services. We're based out of Medina, Ohio, which is just out of Cleveland. But yeah, if you want, you contact us at 440-759-7249.
Awesome.
Even if you just guys want to grab a beer, Josh and I are always up for grabbing a beer after work. So hit us up anytime.
If I end up in town, I will definitely do that. I appreciate you coming on and having this discussion with me, and I hope that we can continue to advance our brotherhood and the camaraderie within our industry.
Oh, definitely. It's always fun. You know, I'll always talk about work.
All right. Thank you very much, and I will talk with you later.
All right. Have a good one.
That's all the time we have for this week. Be sure to subscribe so you can listen to each and every episode. We can be found on Stitcher, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Don't forget to leave a review and let us know what you think about the show. If you'd like to be a guest or have questions, you can email us at flooreducation@gmail.com. Remember, your education never stops.